And welcome back to the Catholic Drive Time Show. This is your host, Adrian Fonseca. It's so good to be on with you today. Praise be to God. Before we went to break, we were talking about this shakshuka girl who was talking about how she's so happy to be 29, single, and not wanting to get married because she's so happy to be able to wake up whenever she wants and not have to worry about anything. And all she gets to do is work on herself. How much work do you got to do on yourself before you can get married? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think I'm ever going to be perfect. And so I guess I should just never get married because I'm just going to be working on myself until the day I die. Otherwise, I think the proper answer is you don't need to work on yourself. Obviously, you want to try to practice virtue in the state you're in, but as long as you are on the path to virtue, I think it's okay to try to pursue marriage. It's okay because you're never going to be perfect. You won't do it. You're never going to work on yourself enough. And so I think that's very important. Now, I want to play this clip for you and get this take. This is clip 2 with the View. If you've heard of The View, they're a very interesting group of women who have very interesting takes. And so they were commenting on this video, and this is what they have to say.
Want children, but as a woman, I remember being 28 with 2 chihuahuas, single, and a woman was trying to help me, and she said to me, you know, don't wait to have kids. And I remember thinking she meant it well, but I thought, you think I'm just sitting here chilling? Like, right. I would like those things, and I don't have them, but women have a biological clock that hopefully with some technology, it's very privileged to be able to do some of those things, but you can prolong it. To keep telling women that, like she even admits throughout that video that she feels a pressure, that doesn't help anyone.
I don't think you
meet.
should get married or have children before the age of 30. I firmly believe that. I mean, Manny and I were dating for a while, and he's younger than I am, and he wanted to get married in our 20s. He's younger than I am. And I was like, what is this man thinking? I don't want to get married yet. I wasn't ready. I know that my eggs were going to be turning into dust because my mother kept on reminding me of it. But I was literally like, I don't know myself yet. I'm trying to get my job off the ground. I'm trying to get my career off the ground. And I think the reason that we've been married for 25 years is because when we got married, I was ready.
You were an adult.
I was fully an adult. Right. I was outgrown.
Right. I have so many gorgeous, successful single.
So this is the take, right? This is the average take. This is your average, and this is why a lot of young men are struggling, and I know a lot of young men actually who are going abroad to find spouses. They're going to the Philippines and things like that to find wives because all the young ladies are waiting to their 30s and 40s to get married, and the guys are like, I want to get married now. I want to have kids now. I don't want to wait. And obviously, there's a lot of men who do the same thing, but it's just simply the case. And the women are like, I want to work on my career, except that's not what's attractive to a man. It's not a career woman. And the other thing that's interesting is you have these women who say these things, right? And these women will be like, I want a man who's going to provide for me, who's going to love me, be a great father to my children, and have all these things. But also, I want to work. I also want to be a femme boss. I also want to do all these things. I don't want to do the dishes and clean and all these other things. And it's like, where are you going to find that guy from? Like, you want to have a liberal mindset, but you want a conservative man. Like, how does those two things fit? I'm not entirely sure. Rudy, what are your thoughts about this whole?
Well, I can tell you it is a recipe for disaster when two people are not ready to get together, and you come into these marriages with all of this extra baggage, thinking that you're going to be able to fulfill yourself in your career. You're going to be fulfilled in the things that you consume, whether it's food or television and all these things. And if you're so hell-bent on holding on to these things that we often kind of chalk up to just youth. We in our youth we spend and waste a lot of our time, but if we hold on to those things, we're just going to be disappointed in our marriages, because that's not the purpose of our marriage. A purpose of marriage in the Catholic sense, and I think this is where there's a great disconnect between us and the culture, is for the Catholic it's for the propagation of the human race. Now, granted, of course, there are sometimes people who have issues conceiving. I'm not criticizing those people at all, but the aim of a marriage is actually the propagation of the human race. And if we don't have that at our forefront, if that's not what we're doing, if we're not open to life, if we're not actually changing our life, putting away the old man, then we're going to be disappointed.
Now, it's interesting because this is happening, and many guys, like I mentioned, I have friends who are going abroad to find wives. Why is that? Well, Morgan Stanley, who doesn't have a vested interest politically in this, but I guess kind of, they have a financial interest in this. They reported by 2030, more than 45% of working women aged 25 to 44 in the United States will be single. That's very interesting. Morgan Stanley quoted a researcher saying, quote, "We find that single women outspend the average household, shifting spending profiles towards categories most poised to benefit from the demographic growth in single women with rising incomes. This includes apparel, automotives, entertainment, and dining." I'm guessing brunch, the sacrament of brunch. This is very concerning, and this is why it becomes very difficult. And it's difficult for women also to find good men. It goes both ways, but I've noticed it in this sense that it's being promoted. It's encouraged for women, because for men, they kind of stay the same in terms of their financial spending, in terms of the way they spend, the way they use money, kind of remains the same. They may not go out drinking as much, but they pretty much stay the same otherwise. Whereas for women, when they settle down, they don't do these kind of things, kind of going out and spending so much money and buying a bunch of clothes, because they have to focus more on focusing on the family and saving money for the family and not just spending money on themselves. You have to be selfless, not selfish. And so then society has a vested interest in trying to encourage women to stay single so they can make money off of you. This is why the abortion movement is the way it is, because they want women to be men. They want women to be producers. They want women to make money and spend money and to work in the widget factory. That's what they want from women. And they ultimately would be unhappy, which is why these women in The View were saying, whoa, isn't it great that we can freeze our eggs so that way you can get married, you can have kids when you're like 50? This is not what God intended. God intended for us to get married young, to get married in our 20s are already, you're already late in the game. I'm already late in the game. And so there you go. This is simply what God intended. And you will not be happy anywhere else. You have to be, I believe truly, every man and woman is called to be a mother and a father. Whether it be as a religious sister, you will be a mother, spiritual mother, or a religious brother or a priest, you'll be a spiritual father, or a biological mother or father. That is what we're called to be. There is no other vocation for a human being. God made us relational. He made us for each other, not for ourselves. And I think otherwise, you're simply going to be shuffling on the ground and you're going to be thinking, okay, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to go to brunch with my friends. I'm going to do that. But then when you get old, is that going to be the memories you remember?
Will it be fulfilling? Yeah, there's this vacuum too. I think that the church really needs to step into the culture and talk about, marriage being really the end all be all for Catholics, and just the culture generally, because I think most people will have a vocation to marriage. And I think that the young people today, and this is me included at that time, when I was still dating my wife, I was thinking, wow, marriage is going to be very difficult. It's going to be strenuous, and yeah, I'm going to have to put away some of the old man that I have. I might have to sacrifice some of myself so that I can make this work. And I think this is a golden opportunity for the church to talk about these real and supernatural graces that we receive at these sacraments. When you go into the sacrament of holy marriage, you're not going into it alone. Actually, God is pouring out so many graces that you're going to need and you're going to rely on every single day. It surprises me every single day, actually, how much I rely on those graces to be able to achieve a good and holy marriage. And so young people may be looking at this and saying, oh, this is just so difficult. What's the point? Why would I want to raise children when I could just consume and then I can just go to lunch whenever I want. I could do whatever I want and focus on the self. It's something that you're not going to be able to do. You can only do with the grace of God.
Yeah, and that's right. The situation, they try to encourage divorce. They try to encourage murdering your babies. They try to encourage you to just swear off relationships. This is what the culture tries to say, but God offers more. He offers fulfillment of life. And these other things are not fulfilling. And many people will say they're upset because the reason why so many people are talking about this because Matt Walsh commented on this, and he was like, yeah, this is not good. And many people were very, very angry at Matt Walsh, saying, why are you coming after this lady? She didn't do anything to you. And, well, he's making a comment about this because it's a trend. It's not like she's the only one. Second of all, she's on TikTok posting it, so she's a public figure. So you can comment on it. If you didn't want anybody to comment on it, don't share it to the public. And that's the other problem with TikTok. Side note, it's the problem with TikTok. It makes everybody an influencer, makes everybody want to be famous. And then the people get upset when you comment on what you said. It's like, okay, well, if you don't want people to comment what you said, don't say it publicly, and no one else will care. But this is not a single instance. It's not about this one lady. It's about the trend. This one lady that's not really that important. Obviously, we should pray for her that she be converted and that she change her mind about these things, and so that way she can actually be happy. But no, if your life revolves around TV and movie stars and singers, you're not going to be happy. Having family, having kids, that's going to make you happy. Whatever the sacrifice you have to make for that, that's going to make you happy. And that's really the point of talking about this. It's not about this one lady. And it's not about the other ladies. There was this porn star that came out, was like, I've been divorced like 4 times. I'm the Tom Brady of divorce. And there was another movie star who was like, yeah, I got married when I was 26 and I got divorced by 30. I really encourage women to get divorced. That's your prime earning years where you'll be most happy, being able to buy as many things as you want and vacation as much as you want. Yeah, that's what the culture tells you. That's what the culture tells you. And ask women who are older, got married older, and don't ask the ones who remain single, because then they're kind of
they'll lie to you.
They'll lie to you, basically. But if you ask the ones who got married later, they'll tell you, I wish I got married younger. I wish I had kids younger. I wish I had more kids. I wish I didn't have just one. And this is simply what it is. And so I'm encouraging people to go out and say, you know what, I'm going to find a spouse. I'm going to find a way to do this. And how do you do so? Well, you're going to have to it's going to have to be a selection bias. You're going to have to go and find traditional Catholic communities and go there, because you're going to want to find people with like-minded ideas. And the only way to do so is to find places where those kind of people segregate themselves. You have to go over there and be a part of those communities, and you'll be able to find somebody. Now, I think that's something that we have to keep in mind, but we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, there is a couple of stories I want to talk about. We'll be right back with more.